In this episode, I'm going to talk about my top 5 tips that I use when I work from home. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I've worked from home anywhere between 1 to 2 days a week, and currently over the next 14 plus days, I'll be working from home every day. So a number of years ago, when I first started working from home, I did have to bring in some type of structure to allow me to still be productive when I'm at home. The last thing I wanted to do was to get sucked into playing other games on my home computer, or just surfing through the internet, or just constantly on my phone. So over the last number of years, I've built structure into my working from home days, and that's where I'm going to start. It's not my first tip, but it's an overall structure. You could call it like an intro bonus, but my intro bonus is just having structure to your day. If you start at 7:30 in the morning at your job after a 10, 15, 20, 30 minute commute, whatever that is, and you finish at 3:30 or 4, that's what you do in your home. You start at 7:30, you finish at 4. You start at 8, you finish at 5. You start at 9, you finish at 5 or 6. Whatever that is in your life, whatever hours you keep when you go to your actual office, that's what you do when you're at home. Also, that includes within your structure the breaks that you have. If you have 45 minutes for lunch plus two 50-minute breaks, you take those when you're at home. A bonus tip before getting into my top 5 tips would be even scheduling those into your calendar in your Outlook or your Google Calendar, whatever calendar you use for work. Put it in there, let people know that you start at 7:30, at 9 o'clock you go for a 50-minute break, at 12 o'clock you go for lunch for 45 minutes, and let's say 2:30 or 2 o'clock you go for an hour 50-minute break. You schedule them in there, you call them a break, and you stick to them. So that's it. That's my first overall bonus structure or bonus tip. Have an actual structure that you follow, because if you went to the office, you would follow that structure. Tip number 1 that I'm going to share with you is actually having a dedicated workspace that is different than any other workspace in your apartment or house. If you live in a house, having an actual office that you only use to do work in would be great. I live in an apartment, so it's a little more difficult for me. I have a sort of a DJ multimedia little nook area in our apartment, like a little den area. And I have my Mac desktop in there that I edit these videos on. I have a little bit of DJ equipment. I have other stuff in there that I use for fun. But I work in the front room here at a desk that is near my bay windows, and the only time I ever sit at that desk is when I actually do work from home work. I do not mix those two areas. That's for fun, that's for editing, that's for YouTube, that's for playing Steam and games, that's for playing around with music on the computer, or watching some shows or whatever that may be. That's a fun area. The area in here is a work area, and it's very, very important that you segment your house or your apartment into those different areas, because you don't want to mix your metaphors. You don't want to be trying to sit and do work at an area where your brain normally has fun, because if you sit at those areas, you will end up trying to have fun. You'll end up opening tabs, or you'll think, oh, I'm on my lunch, let's play a bit of Steam here, let's go online and play a game, and you'll end up wasting some time and not being very productive. So that's the first main tip. Have a different workspace. Tip number 2, put the 2 up there, that I really like to do. It's something that I do quite often when I start my day at work, is I actually start it with the same Four Seasons musical track every morning when I start work. It actually triggers my brain to tell me I'm now at work. I will listen to it in my headphones, or I'll play it out loud. I'll listen to 5 minutes of it, or I might listen to the full 40 minutes Four Seasons classical Vivaldi concert on YouTube. There's actually one on there that lasts for 10 hours that you can just loop. Sometimes I'll have it my headphones on. I'll just listen to it all day because it helps me sort of focus, or I think it helps me focus, but maybe science out there will confirm or deny that. But I generally like to listen to some type of music if I'm doing a repetitive task. If I'm doing some sort of creative thinking for my job, I like silence, so it depends on what I'm doing. But I start that track on purpose to trigger my brain, to tell my brain that it's now work time. And the reason why I use the same song every day for that, and I even do this in my office sometimes, I'll actually put that track on my earbuds, it's just to tell my brain, okay, phone's in the drawer. It's another tip. It's not on my list, but it's a very big tip. Actually, I'm going to put it on my list next. But tip 2 is, Vivaldi, Four Seasons. My phone's go in the drawer. I focus on the work, and the music lets me know. Boom, I'm doing some work. Tip number 3, which I just made up in my head, popped into my head. It actually wasn't on my list of 5 that I've got down here. But tip number 3, put your phones in a drawer. Put them on airplane mode. Obviously, if you've got a work phone or you need to have a phone for being on a conference call or whatever it is, obviously use it during those times. I know that when I'm online at work, when I'm at home, I do have instant messaging and email. And the only time I actually use my phone is to call into a conference call once or twice a day. But generally, what I try to do with my phones is when I'm at work, they typically stay in my work bag, both my regular own phone and my work phone. I'm a drug dealer. I've got 2 phones. I'm not really, but I don't know why I have 2 phones, but I don't like to have all my fun social media stuff on a phone that is a corporate phone. I just don't like that. I separate them, but that's a different video for a different time. But this is working from home strategies. Put your phones away. Airplane mode, in a drawer. If you have to have your work phone on, make sure that your work phone doesn't have any distracting apps on it, and then have your social phone away in a drawer. If you're one of those unlucky people that have all your social apps on your work phone, just make sure that you put it on airplane mode and you only use it for when you have to use it for conference calls. Yeah, makes sense. Tip number 3, put your phones away because they distract the hell out of all of us. We're addicted to them. Tip number 4 is an important one. I just put 3 up again. I'm going to put 4 because I can actually show I can count. Tip number 4, it's a big one. It's kind of like 2 things in one tip. But tip number 4 to me, it's similar to my other tip about playing Vivaldi, and I probably should have put this before that, but having a shower in the morning and getting changed into clothes that are not your sleeping clothes. Some people talk about putting on a shirt or a work shirt or putting on your shoes. I don't wear my shoes in the house. That's not a thing I'm going to do. Also, I don't typically actually find some of the clothes that I wear to work super comfortable. Jeans I can wear to work. I can wear nice 5-pocket pants with a shirt. I like wearing that stuff. I like looking good. I used to work in fashion. I love looking good. But when I'm at home, I like to be comfortable. Actually, I probably like to be more comfortable than I do when I go to the office. But what I will do is I get changed into a different outfit than I would do if I was just lying about the house. Typically on a Saturday or Sunday, I can not shower first thing in the morning. Maybe I shower in the afternoon after walking the dog. But the days that I work from home and you need to get some work done, it is important to go through your normal routine as if you were going to go to the office. You go to the toilet, you clean your teeth, you get ready, you make your smoothie or whatever you're going to do to take to work, and then you go and have your shower. Whatever your morning routine is, you should still do that, and then go to your little desk or your segmented area of the house to do your work. I find when I don't do that, I'm not as productive. But when I do that and I go and get myself all freshened up and I sit in front of my desk, boom, I'm super productive. Okay, so that's my first 4 tips. And then I'm going to do a 5th tip plus my bonus tips. My 5th tip is really around how you would wrap up the day. I've just actually done it today when I finished work before shooting this video, and actually went and had another quick shower for the day. But what I did, or what I can do quite a lot when I work from home, and it is a great tip. It's actually to do a quick workout as soon as the day's finished. As soon as the day is finished, I finished today at 4 o'clock. I'm shooting this at about 4:45, 4:45 in the evening. So I've been finished work for 45 minutes. But I did a quick 10-minute calisthenics workout in the house. Put my yoga mat out, and I have a little workout on my phone, and I just followed along, and I did it. And then I went and had a shower. And I have done that before when I've worked from home. And what I find is that it really helps just get the body moving because I've been sat in the house all day, a bit of a cabin fever, gets me going. And then I have a shower to wrap up, and then I'll get changed into different clothes for the night, or I'll put back on what I was wearing if I was feeling comfortable. So that was tip number 5. End your day with a little workout. Now, some bonus tips that I want to throw at you. 2 in particular. I think it's very, very important if you have a 45-minute or an hour lunch. Bonus tip number 1 is get outside for 5-10 minutes. Even if it's going on your balcony and just taking a couple of deep breaths, having a cup of tea, looking out and enjoying the vista. If you have a backyard, a house, do that. Just go and sit outside. Obviously, if you want to go for a quick walk, 15-20 minutes, do that. I do have a dog, so it is quite handy for me to take the dog down for a quick pee and then go for a little walk, and you come back in and you've actually been outside. I think if you're working from home, I feel it can get a little, again, I'm going to use the term cabin fever. So I think getting out there is very super important. And the last bonus tip, and to wrap up this video, is to actually tidy your workspace up when you finish it. Now, I don't make my workspace too messy during the day, but I do close down my laptop, I tidy up any papers, and I make everything nice and neat. So when I come back the next morning, it's there for me, and it's beautiful, and it's easy just to slip back in and go straight back to work. If you were working at the same area that you were playing, so to speak, you might find that you've got a whole bunch of other things there that you're using, and you kind of get a bit squirrely because your workspace is messy. But keeping your work office or your desk that you work on super clean and just clear of all clutter helps you be productive, and it helps you ease back into working the next day. Those were my top 5 tips with some bonuses, an intro bonus and a couple of outro bonuses for working from home. These are strategies that I've been able to develop over the last 2 or 3 years. I know when I don't follow them that well, I can get a bit distracted. So it is important creating those structures and following some basic guidelines when you are working from home. You will definitely find your days much more productive, and you'll actually feel like you're segmenting your day off from how you normally use your living space. If you don't, it can kind of feel like you're trapped in the same space, and you can feel a bit squirrely and a bit of cabin fever, as I mentioned. So it's important to have these strategies. Anyway, thanks very much for watching all the way through to this part of the video. I really do appreciate it. If you want to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, please do. And hopefully we will see you next time. And as always, make it a good one. Cheers.